ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಸವರಾಜ್ ಯನ್ನಕ್ಕಿ, ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಸಹ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು, ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಪ್ರಥಮ ದರ್ಜೆ ಕಾಲೇಜು ದಾಂಡೇಲಿ, ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ. ಇಂದು ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ BA ದ್ವಿತೀಯ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ನ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಚ್ಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ವಿಷಯದ 5ನೇ ಅವಧಿ ಕುರಿತು ಮಾತನಾಡಲು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ವಿಷಯ ಗುಪ್ತರ ಆಡಳಿತ, ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗುಪ್ತಾಸ್. Now let us see the brief political history of the Guptas, and this is already covered in the previous chapter. Gupta Empire was founded by Sri Gupta in 275 AD. He was succeeded by his son Ghatotkach, and he was succeeded by his son Chandragupta, and Chandragupta was succeeded by his son Samudragupta. This is already I covered in the previous chapter. Now let us move on to the administration. The Gupta rulers made a tremendous contribution in the field of administration, art, architecture, literature, education, and religion. After the Mauryas, a strong foundation was laid in the administration system. Literature, art, architecture flourished. Scholarly works on medicine, science, grammar were brought to light. Gupta set up a vast empire and brought political unity. Sanskrit language and literature flourished. Hinduism was once again reached its zenith. Hence, the period of the Guptas is known as Golden Period. ಗುಪ್ತರ ಆಡಳಿತದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ, ಗುಪ್ತರು ಆಡಳಿತ, ಕಲೆ, ವಾಸ್ತುಶಿಲ್ಪ, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಮತ್ತು ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಮಹತ್ವದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೌರ್ಯರ ನಂತರ ಆಡಳಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ತಮ ಸಂಘಟನೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದವರೆಂದರೆ ಗುಪ್ತರು. ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಕಲೆ, ವಾಸ್ತುಶಿಲ್ಪ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ವೈದ್ಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ, ವ್ಯಾಕರಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ವಿದ್ವತ್ಪೂರ್ಣ ಗ್ರಂಥಗಳು ರಚನೆಯಾದವು. ಗುಪ್ತರು ಒಂದು ವಿಶಾಲವಾದ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನು ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸುವುದರ ಮೂಲಕ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಐಕ್ಯತೆಯನ್ನು ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಿದರು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಮತ್ತು ಭಾಷೆ ಈ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಉನ್ನತ ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ತಲುಪಿತ್ತು. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಂದೂ ಧರ್ಮ ತನ್ನ ಪುನರುಜ್ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಿತು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕಂಡುಬರ್ತದೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಗುಪ್ತರ ಯುಗವನ್ನು ಸುವರ್ಣಯುಗ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಈ ಗುಪ್ತರ ಒಂದು ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಆಡಳಿತ, ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಕಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ವಾಸ್ತುಶಿಲ್ಪ, ಶಿಲ್ಪಕಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಚಿತ್ರಕಲೆ, ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನ ವಿಂಗಡಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಡಳಿತಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಾದರೆ ಆಡಳಿತವನ್ನು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಂತೀಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಂದಾಯ, ಈ ರೀತಿ ವರ್ಗೀಕರಣ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ದಿ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗುಪ್ತಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫೈಡ್ ಇಂಟು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್, ಪ್ರೊವಿನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್, ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿ, ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ, ಆರ್ಮಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್. Now let us see about central administration. In the Gupta Empire, king was the supreme head. He believed that they were the divine origin. They are the avatars of Vishnu. Kings assumed titles such as Maharaja, Maharajadiraja, Paramabhattaraka. The administration was done according to the law mentioned in the Sukra Nitisara, Arthashastra and Rajadharma. For efficient administration and management, there were ministers, officers to assist the king. Amatyas means advisors also assisted the ministers. Each minister looked after separate department. Depending upon the qualification, they were appointed for various positions. Let us see who were the council of ministers. Ministers had to lead the army in case of war. In addition, there were officers to assist the administration. They were Mahabaladhikrita, Mahadandanayaka, Mahapratihara, Mahasandhi Vigrahaka, Dandapashika, Bandagaradhikrita, Vinayasti Samstapaka, Sarvadyaksha. They have given their other names also here. And Mahaspati, head of the cavalry. Mahilapati, head of the elephant. Pakshapatalika, Vinayapra, Yukta Purusha, Kadyapatika, Ranabhandargarika, Narapati. Like this there were officers. Now let us see about the provincial administration. The empire of the Guptas was divided into many kingdoms. They were known as Bukti and Desha. The head of the Bukti was called as Uparika and Goyatri. He was the head of the Desha. Governors were appointed among members of the royal family. They were also known as Maharajaputra. They were also known as Maharajaputra, Devabhattaraka. Provincial officers were appointed by the governors. Provinces were called as Vishaya, Mandala and Bhoga. Vishayapati was the head of the Vishaya and his subordinate officers were known as Kumaramatte and Ayuktaka. There was a an advisory body at the district level to give suggestions. The members were usually merchants, head of the artisan groups, chief secretary, and chief merchant. Panchayat looked after the administration of the villages and judicial system. In this way, Gupta administration was spread in the states of Bihar, Bengal, and Uttar Pradesh. Subordinate officers were also assisted in the administration. The important subordinate officers were Vallabhi, Maityakas, Vardhan dynasty of Tanishwar, Maukari of Kanauja, and Gowda of Bengal. The Gupta administration was followed by the Chalukyas, Vakatakas, Kalachuris, and Rashtrakutas in Karnataka. Now let us see about district administration. The provinces were subdivided into several districts or Vishayas, Mandala, and Bogas. The small unit of administration was Grama. The Vishaya was administered by Vishayapati with the help of the subordinate officers called Kumaramattas and Ayuktaka. These officers were appointed for provincial governors and sometimes they were appointed by central government. The district officers were helped by junior officers called Dandika, Danda Poshaka, and Kulika. The important officers of the village were Gramika and Bojaka. The representative system was assigned an important place in the administration of districts and villages. The Vishayapatis lived in the districts, towns, and were helped in the administration by the representatives of various important interests besides their subordinates. The representative advisors of the Vishayapati constituted board, which included the Nagara Sreshtin, the most wealthy man of the town or president of the guilds of the town, the Stavara, the chief merchant, the Prathama Kulika, the chief artisan, and Prathama Kayastha, that is chief secretary. In the same way, the village panchayat was the representative body of the villages, enjoyed fairly independent powers regarding the administrative and judicial functions concerning their respective villages. The central and provincial administration of the Guptas was confined to the territories of Bengal, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh, which were under the direct rule of the emperor. The dependent rulers were left free to administer their kingdoms as they desired. This is how the administration was done by the Guptas. Now let us see about city administration under Guptas. There was a council for city administration. Its head was known as Paura. The council consisted of president, chief representatives of the guild of the merchants known as Sartavaha, chief accountant, representatives of the artisans. The city committee consisted of local representatives. Mayor of the city was known as Paurapala. The central and provincial administration of the Guptas was confined to the territories. The dependent rulers also left free to administer their kingdoms as they desire. This is how the city administration was looked after by the Guptas. Now let us see about the taxation system. There were 18 taxes during the Guptas. They were Kalpita, Halavikara, Bali, Prataya tax, Bhaga, Bhoga, Bhaga Bhagakara, Batta, Chatta, Charasana, Hiryana, Uparika, Taradaya, Rajju, Sarvarishi, Bedaka Bhoga, Bapu, etc. And there was also tax on salt. Thus, grazing tax, tax collected from all subjects, tax on navigation, tax on irrigation, force tax, tax on milk, flour, fruits, animals, etc. were collected during the Gupta period. Now let us see about judicial system. The Gupta period produced rich literature on judicial system. The lawmakers for the first time have demarcated between civil and criminal law. Narada Smriti states that there were 4 kinds of courts. They were Gukha, Sreni, Gaja. These 3 meant for public. Rajakiya court meant for only for government. Various types of cases and punishments were mentioned in the law books of Naradas, Brahaspati, Khatyayana, and Sukraniti. King was the head of the judicial system. Punishments were light and mild. He was assisted by Chief Justice known as Mahadandanayaka. Now let us see about the military system of the Guptas. Gupta kings were good organizers of the army. All the subordinate officers constantly supplied their army assistance to the king. Hence they maintained huge wing of horses and elephants. Decentralization of the army was their key aspect. Cavalry occupied an important position in the army. Commander-in-chief known as Mahabaladikrita controlled other subordinate officers and in the army. Salary for the army was paid in cash. Officers in charge of stores was known as Ranabhandarika. Shenabhakta was a tax given by the people whenever army passed through their villages. Forced labor or visti was also in practice in the royal army. They constructed forts for the protection of their kingdoms. Its chief was known as Narapati. They had very efficient spy system. Now let us see about revenue administration. The chief source for the kingdom were land revenue, irrigation tax, customs and excise duty, and other taxes. Collection of land revenue varied from time to time and place to place. It varies from one half to one twelfth and depends upon the fertility of the soil. Land was given contract to the subject for the cultivation and production of food crops. Forest and mineral wealth were also the state monopolized, bringing large income to the imperial treasury. Certain industries were also monopolized. One tenth of the sale tax was charged for the traders. Subordinate rulers also paid taxes to the king. Revenue was collected in kind and cash. Bhaga Kara was a tax on land. Sulka Kara, tax on merchants and artists. Bhoja Kara, octroi duty. Bhutavana Prataya, tax on imported goods. During Samudragupta's period, an officer, Gopas Raman, worked as Akshapatha Ladhikrita, who recovered royal dues and fines and kept records in registers. Pustapala was a record keeper. This is how the administration of the Guptas was looked after by them. Thank you.